If you only know the headlines, this is the missing context. What if the biggest pop star in the world almost gave up before she began? This is the real Adele story, how a working-class Tottenham girl faced rejection, depression, and vocal disaster to become a global phenomenon. We'll unpack the pivotal moments, the creative risks, and the personal decisions that defined her journey. No fluff, just the documentary-style truths behind the music, the money, and the woman. Stick around, you might rethink what success really costs. Alright, let's start with where it all began. Most people think overnight success. Adele's rise was anything but. Her early years were defined by economic struggle and a passion that almost got derailed before she ever stepped into a studio. Adele Laurie Blue Adkins was born in 1988 in Tottenham, North London. Raised by a single mother, money was tight, and she often shared that music became her escape. She'd spend hours listening to Etta James and Ella Fitzgerald on a cheap CD player. This isn't just a sad backstory, it's where her ability to channel raw emotion into song was forged. You can hear that same grit in every note of her debut album. At 14, she won a place at the BRIT School for Performing Arts, the same free performing arts school that produced Amy Winehouse and Jessie J. But it wasn't a fast path to fame. She often felt overshadowed by more technically trained singers. Instead of chasing pop trends, she kept focusing on songwriting. That decision to double down on authenticity over polish was the first real turning point in her story. At 16, Adele recorded a 3-song demo as a class project. A friend posted it on MySpace, and it caught the attention of XL Recordings, but most major labels passed. Many executives told her she was too young, her voice too soulful for pop, and her look didn't fit the commercial mold. She stuck with XL, a small independent label, because they offered creative freedom, a classic trade-off that paid off massively. Her debut album, 19, was written in the wake of a painful breakup. She poured her sadness into songs like Chasing Pavements and Hometown Glory. The record wasn't an instant blockbuster, it debuted at modest chart positions, but it slowly built a cult following. Critics noticed here was a teenager who wrote like a veteran. She proved that emotional honesty could still sell records in a synthetic industry. Now, we get to the moment everything exploded. But with global fame came a set of challenges that almost destroyed her career before her second album. This is the chapter where she learned that success has a dark side. In 2011, Adele released 21. Fueled by another devastating breakup, the album broke records globally. Singles like Rolling in the Deep and Someone Like You dominated charts for months. But the real story is how she recorded many vocals in a single take, raw and imperfect. She didn't chase radio-friendly production. Instead, she leaned into pain. That contrast, vulnerability in a world of auto-tune, made her unstoppable. Mid-tour in 2011, while promoting 21, Adele suffered a vocal cord hemorrhage. For months she couldn't speak, let alone sing. Doctors warned that further strain could permanently damage her voice. She had to cancel multiple sold-out shows, a public and financial blow. But instead of pushing through, she underwent laser microsurgery and rested for nearly a year. That tough call saved her voice, but taught her the real cost of overwork. At the 2012 Grammys, Adele won all 6 categories she was nominated for, including Album of the Year. She returned to the stage for her first post-surgery performance, visibly emotional. But the recognition brought critical backlash. Some accused her of manufactured sadness and questioned if her music was too safe. She ignored the noise, held her ground, and proved that mass appeal didn't equal selling out, a lesson in trusting your own compass. Despite selling millions, Adele has long battled severe stage fright. Before many shows, she suffered from anxiety attacks and considered quitting live performance altogether. She coped by creating strict pre-show rituals and limiting tour dates. This reveals an important industry truth: commercial triumph doesn't erase mental health struggles. She prioritized her well-being over revenue, a decision that extended her longevity. With her career at a peak, Adele made a move that baffled the industry. She stepped away. This next chapter reveals how motherhood and a private divorce reshaped her music and her public identity. In 2012, at 24, Adele gave birth to her son Angelo. Instead of capitalizing on the 21 wave, she stepped back from music for nearly 3 years. Labels and managers urged a quick follow-up, but she declined, saying she wanted to experience normal motherhood. That decision meant losing millions in potential revenue, but she told a friend, "I don't want to miss my son's first steps for a song." It redefined her priorities. In 2015, Adele returned with 25, an album about growing older and longing for the past. The lead single, "Hello," broke viewing records on YouTube. But this era wasn't without struggle. She intentionally avoided writing about her happy marriage, feeling it wouldn't resonate. Instead, she channeled a more universal nostalgia. The risk was immense. Would fans still relate after her hiatus? They did, making her a cross-generational force. In 2021, after divorcing Simon Konecki, Adele released 30, her most personal work yet. She called it her divorce album and used it to explain the split to her son. Writing about shame, self-destruction, and hope, she braved criticism that she was airing private pain for profit. But the album's reception confirmed that her core audience never wanted a glossy star. They wanted a real woman navigating real life. Throughout her career, Adele's weight loss and gain attracted relentless comment. She consistently refused to be a spokesperson for any body type, saying she hated the obsession with appearance. Even when she lost significant weight after divorce, tabloids framed it as a revenge body. She pushed back, stating it was about mental and physical health, not public approval. Her boundary setting offers a masterclass in owning your narrative. Box office numbers and chart stats tell one story, but behind Adele's success is a shrewd business mind. In this section, we break down the decisions that secured her fortune and her place in history. In 2015, Adele made headlines by refusing to put 25 on streaming services at launch. She insisted that albums should be treated as complete works, not fragmented playlists. It was a gamble. Would fans buy physical copies and downloads? They did, and 25 still became the fastest-selling album in UK history. She also retained significant ownership stakes in her masters, a move many artists overlook. This financial literacy protected her long-term income. Her weekends with Adele Las Vegas residency faced a rocky start. She tearfully postponed it at the last minute, citing supply delays and artistically insufficient production. Then, she renegotiated a more intimate, theatre-style show that focused on storytelling. The residency grossed over $100 million and set a new standard for artist-driven productions in Vegas. She proved that owning your mistakes and demanding quality could be more profitable than just showing up. Unlike many pop stars, Adele has always worked with an unusually tight-knit team. She is managed by Jonathan Dickens, who signed her as a teenager, and her core collaborators like Paul Epworth are long-term partners. This stability avoided the merry-go-round of managers and producers that derails many artists. The lesson? Long-term trust and shared vision can be worth more than the biggest contract upfront. Adele has quietly donated millions to fire victims, education charities, and crisis support. She rarely announces it. In 2017, she visited Grenfell Tower survivors in secret. This low-key benevolence contrasts with the celebrity PR machine and has earned her deep, enduring respect. It's a reminder that aligning money with meaning doesn't require a press release. Actions count louder. So what can we actually take away from Adele's journey? Not in a sugary motivational way, but practically. Here's how her decisions form a blueprint for anyone facing creative or personal crossroads. Adele's entire catalogue is built on one choice: write what hurts. In an industry that rewards reinvention and shock value, she stuck to breakups, grief, and growth. That consistency made her brand bulletproof. Fans never had to wonder what the real Adele stood for. If you're navigating any field, knowing your core truth and refusing to bend it can be your strongest competitive advantage. She walked away at the peak of 21, and again when her voice failed. Each hiatus seemed career suicide, but actually refreshed public appetite and preserved her health. The key isn't simply quitting, but recognizing when diminishing returns set in, whether creatively, physically, or emotionally, and having the courage to pause. For anyone in a high-pressure job, that kind of self-awareness is priceless. That's the practical version of what matters most. The big idea is to understand the problem, compare the right details, and avoid rushing into an expensive decision without context. If this helped you see behind the headlines, like and subscribe for more documentary-style biographies that go deeper than the gossip. We break down how real lives are built and what we can learn from them. Like the video if you prefer life stories with context instead of gossip.